अनिया प्रेमेरा बन्ना दुमा आपनी प्रेमे बन्ना लैयानिताई आइला गौर देशे
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. We welcome everyone, and we are very, very grateful that you are here today with us for this very, very special program with His Grace Radhikaraman Prabhu. As you must be knowing, that we are having a pre-festival celebration of this upcoming very, very auspicious Nityananda Triyodashi festival in just a couple of days. And we have His Grace Radhikaraman Prabhu with us to really, really prepare our consciousness, help us to prepare our consciousness and mood for this wonderful festival. So Radhikaraman Prabhu is here somewhere. So most of us already know very well who Radhikaraman Prabhu is, but just in case, I would like to give a brief introduction. His Grace Radhikaraman Prabhu is a senior disciple of His Holiness Hanumat Prekshak Swami Maharaj. Prabhu is actually a born Vaishnava. He was born and raised in a Vaishnava family in Boise, Idaho. Prabhu has been practicing bhakti, all his life, and not just practicing, but he's now very, very wonderfully actively sharing this bhakti process with literally tens and thousands of people all over the world. Prabhu, by profession, he's a chair of a religion and philosophy department in Utah State University. He's a PhD from Oxford University, and he's having so much under his belt in terms of publications, and he's author of some wonderful books. But more than that, he's very, very much loved for his wonderful, deep, inspirational, and realized spiritual talks all over the world, philosophical discussions, interfaith discussions. He's a very renowned speaker. And above all that, he is a very, very dear friend of ISKCON of Richmond. He's part of ISKCON of Richmond forever, always. So we are very, very happy that Prabhu is allowing us to be in his association. He's giving his precious time to all of us today. So without any further ado, Prabhuji, where are you?
We'll do Kirtan first.
Okay, so we have Chaitanya and Purushottam. Here you go. Okay, so everyone is here. So happy to see the whole family together. So thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Jai. So Chaitanya Purushottam will lead us in Kirtan, and then we'll have Radhikaraman Prabhu start. Go ahead, Chaitanya Purushottam. Thank you so very much, Chaitanya Purushottam, for the wonderful, wonderful kirtan. And on behalf of all the devotees, loud Hari Bol for Chaitanya Purushottam. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Thank you. Okay, so they're really good too.
My dad is running to another computer.
Got it. Thank you.
It's 15. I got that.
As Prabhuji is getting settled, we just would like to make an announcement and inform everyone that Monday is the actual day of Nityanand Triyodashi festival. So we will be having an evening celebration, of course, virtual celebration. And that will be from 6 p.m. onwards on the same channel. And we will have a very, very wonderful presentation by Sandipani Muni School children, about a 40 minutes presentation, different bhajans and so many other things. So you're most welcome to join us over there on Monday, 6 p.m. EST. Okay, so looks like Prabhuji is here and we can start the talk. Okay, over to you, Prabhuji. Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's so nice to see everyone here, all friends. Actually, I don't see anyone. Would everyone mind please turning on their cameras? It'll be much nicer to speak to at least the Richmond devotees. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Please keep your cameras on if possible. Then that way I can get your association also, and it won't be a one-way street. So, Jai, thank you so much for this opportunity, for inviting me to be here, Divyanam Prabhu, and nice to see so many good friends from Richmond, and it seems there are other devotees from other places also, or maybe the greater Richmond community, past and present and future, all here. So, oh, Nilamani Prabhu is also here. Jai. Om Jnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nityanandamaham Naumi Sarvanandakaram Param Harinama Pradam Devam Avadhuta Shiromanim Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tvishe Namah. So today we are preparing for Nityananda Trayodashi. It's also Varaha Dwadashi today, and in preparation for Nityananda Trayodashi. These festivals, we celebrate them every year. Just this morning, His Holiness Hanumat Preshaka Maharaj, my spiritual master, he was saying that we celebrate every year these festivals over and over again. And each time when we celebrate them, they become more special, they become more intense, they become sweeter. And after, he said, for example, after years of, he said after 25 years of attempting to bring Krishna from Kurukshetra to Vrindavan during Rath Yatra festival, 1 year we might actually be successful, right? And we attempt during Rath Yatra, and then one day we can actually do it. So the festivals have a lot of meaning, and just by celebrating these festivals with dedication and sincerity, we can become completely Krishna conscious. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Madhava Tithi Bhakti Janani, right? That these occasions related to Lord Madhav, to Krishna, these Madhava Tithi, are Bhakti Janani. They give birth to bhakti, to devotional service. So they're very significant. So I'll try to say a few words about Lord Nityananda, and hopefully there will be some questions and comments and some discussion as well. So in every avatar, Krishna comes to liberate, to give mercy to his devotees. In fact, of all of Krishna's qualities, his mercy is the most special. It's the crest jewel of his qualities. Because it's because of that mercy, that compassion, known as karuna or daya or anukampa, there's so many words for it. That compassion, that mercy gives us hope, right? There is some hope that the Lord will help us. And so in every incarnation of the Lord, in every form, we find that Krishna, that compassion is really extraordinary, and it comes to the forefront. Think of Lord Ramachandra and how he's glorified as that most compassionate Lord who was willing to take service even from monkeys and bears and spiders and squirrels and everyone. People, not even just human beings, right? Demons also, people born in demon families. And so his mercy is really described as extraordinary, his compassion. Think of Lord Krishna and his willingness to uplift Dina Bandho Jagatpate, those who are the most fallen, and help them to approach him by giving us the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. Think about Lord Varahadev, whose appearance date is today, how he uplifts, he goes into the waters of the ocean and he lifts up literally everyone, right? The entire world, and carefully protects all living entities on this planet. So this is called mercy. This is called karuna. In every incarnation, Krishna shows this mercy to a very high extent. But in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, particularly, the Lord is known as Karunavatara. Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda are Jagat Priyakaro Karunavatara. They are the actual embodiment of compassion, of mercy, more so than any incarnation before, because they give what no other avatar has given, which is pure love for Krishna. Now, this is why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is known as Namo Mahavadanyaya, the one who is the most merciful incarnation. He's the very embodiment of that mercy. And yet, despite Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu receiving that position, that title, Lord Nityananda Prabhu is said to be even more merciful than Sri Chaitanya. And this is the whole confusion of the paradox, not confusion, the paradox of bhakti, that how can someone be more merciful than one who is the most merciful? It's like if someone is the richest person in the world, I guess at this point it's Jeff Bezos, or so I've heard. If he's he is the richest, then if we find someone else who is richer than him, who has more money than him, then how is he the richest? It's not possible, right? He's lost his position. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is most definitely the most merciful form of the Lord. Namo Mahavadanyaya. And yet, Nityananda Prabhu is more merciful than him. And both are very much true. So the spiritual world is a place where you can have two people who are the most of anything. You can have someone who is the most and have someone who is better than them. This is the nature of the spiritual world. Purnamadaha, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate. Purnasya Purnamadaya, Purnameva Vashishyate. That even when you have the most, you have Purnam, the complete, even then you've got plenty left over for someone to even be more complete. And that does not reduce the completeness of the first. So Nityananda Prabhu, how is he even more merciful than Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? And in order to understand this, we can understand it in two different ways, right? We can understand it in terms of the tattva, the philosophical truth of who Lord Nityananda is, and we can understand it in terms of his relationship with Krishna or Mahaprabhu and his relationship with us, his devotees. So we can understand it in terms of rasa as well. So let's look at it from both perspectives. First of all, the philosophical, because that's where we always should begin. By beginning with the philosophical perspective on any area, we ensure that we don't go astray from the path of bhakti, because our own intelligence at the moment is not yet purified completely. It's not yet firm completely. So it's very easy to slip into the extremes of Mayavad, impersonalism, or Sahajyavad, the idea of that we are as good as Krishna and can enjoy like him. So we can become sentimentalists, we can become impersonalists. Many pitfalls are there. So this is why Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita always begins first with discussion of tattva. Now, in order to understand philosophically why Nityananda Prabhu is the most merciful, we have to take a couple steps back. In fact, several steps back. And begin with this question of, okay, what is Krishna doing in the spiritual world, right? If we think of what Krishna does, Krishna has one main concern in the spiritual world. There's just one main concern. And that is, where have the gopis hid butter today? Right? This is Krishna's concern. This is what he's worried about. What's my mother's mood like? What's Srimati Radharani's mood like? Is she upset with me? Are they happy with me? Where can I find them? Where have the gopis hid the butter? This is Krishna's concern. And this is why he is Lila Purushottam, right? He's always engaged in his pastimes. And why should, as the Supreme Lord, why should he worry about anything? But he is worried. He is worried about us. Right? He's worried about this material world and the 1/4 of living entities who are completely entrapped in their own sensual desires and have very little way of escaping. And so in order to take care of us, for the very purpose of saving us, to uplift us as Patita Pavana, the Lord expands himself as Baladev, as Balaram. And this Lord Balaram is non-different than Nityananda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi, Balaram, Hoilo Nitai. In every incarnation, the Lord always comes with his brother, Lakshman, or Sheshanaga, or Lord Nityananda. Right? He's always there. Because Lord Baladev is always responsible for ensuring that every living being has a chance to serve the Lord. So he expands into Baladev. And Baladev says, okay, I have to reach out to all those living entities in the material world who have missed their opportunity to serve Krishna. So Lord Balaram then expands into 4 forms called the Chaturvyuha: Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Vasudev. Right? These 4 forms: Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. This is called the Chaturvyuha. He comes in these 4 forms. And from these 4 forms, from Shankarshan in particular, which is distinctly the representative of Lord Balaram, from Sankarshan comes Mahavishnu, the Lord who enters the material world, who comes into that cloud of the material world, lies on the ocean of causes, Karana ocean. This is the ocean that is the cause, that where all the living entities are asleep, right, waiting for the opportunity to express their desires to enjoy independent of Krishna. They're asleep in this ocean, and Mahavishnu is there, and from the pores of his body, he breathes out all the universes, so that we have a playground where we can enjoy, or attempt to enjoy. So this would have been enough, right? From Krishna's perspective, he's already done a lot at this point, right? He's expanded as Lord Balaram. He's expanded then as Chaturvyuha. Then after Chaturvyuha, he's come as Mahavishnu. He lies on the ocean. He breathes out and creates all the universe. At this point, Krishna would be very much within his rights to say, okay, I'm done, right? I've taken care of the living entities. I've given them a playground, and I'm watching over it, right? They've got a swimming pool to play in, and I'm the lifeguard, and I'm looking after everyone. And he could stop, but he doesn't. Why? Because he's very, very merciful. And he cannot bear the thought that somehow we would lose our way in the material world and not find our way back to him. That we would get lost and never have a way out. Permanently, we would be drowned in this world. He's too concerned. And so after he breathes out the universes, then he enters each universe as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu to make sure that he has closer supervision of every classroom, of every section of this material world. And there on the Garbhodaka ocean, he gives birth to Lord Brahma, the first created living being, and allows him to create a very proper, well-designed, safe playground. Safe as long as we don't misuse it. Playground here for us. And at this point, Krishna would be within his rights to say, okay, I've done enough. Now, up to you guys. But no, he's too merciful and too concerned. So after expanding as Balaram, and from there to the Chaturvyuha, and from there to Mahavishnu, and from there to Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, Krishna says, I'm still not close enough. Just looking after the universe. I want to be closer to the living entity, to make sure every one of us is properly situated and we have what we need and we have the guidance we need. So then he enters every body and every atom, every cell of this material world as Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. Andantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastham. He's there in every little bit. And he accompanies the jiva on his entire journey through the material world. Upadrashtanu mantacha bharta bhokta maheshwara paramatmeti chapyukto dehismin purusha. He's watching every little movement that we make in this material world, looking after everything and guiding us. Anumanta, he's guiding us, he's inspiring us. Antaryami, which means he's the inner inspirer. He moves all living beings. We say we want to enjoy this, and Krishna says, okay, that's where you're going to find that enjoyment. We say we want to try this out, Krishna guides us from within the heart, gives us permission. And when we say, no, Krishna, I want you, Krishna says, I'm right here. I can guide you in that way too. In this way, he is the Chaitya Guru, the Lord, the spiritual master within the heart. But we can miss ourselves. We can miss this guidance within the heart, because how many of us know to look into our hearts? Right? Even the great demon Hiranyakashipu, it says in the 7th canto that after Hiranyaksha was killed by Varahadev, Hiranyakashipu is searching for him everywhere in anger. He's so upset. So the Lord, he hides. Right? Krishna plays this leela of hide and seek with the demons. And he hides. And it says he hides within the core of Hiranyakashipu's heart. Because Hiranyakashipu has scoped out every inch of this universe. He's mastered every inch of this universe. But he forgets to look in his own heart. He has no access there. So the Chaitya Guru is the spiritual master in the heart, but for most living beings, that spiritual master in the heart can be missed. The super soul in the heart can be missed. It takes a lot of work. Jitatmana prashantasya paramatma samahita. It takes a person who is really self-controlled, jitatmana, prashantasya, completely peaceful, paramatma samahita, in order for that person to be connected to the super soul. Krishna thinks this is still too far away from the living entities. I've still not done enough. I have to do more, even though he's right there next to us. Va suparna sayuja sakhaya, like two birds on a tree. He says it's still not close enough. This person could miss me. And so then he comes externally. He says, I have to make myself really obvious. And he comes as the spiritual master, the guru, his representative, who can guide us in a direct, personal, straightforward way, in a way that we cannot miss, we cannot avoid. So throughout the ages, Krishna has sent prophets and teachers, gurus, all around the world who have guided the living entities. But all of this process, every step of Krishna's mercy, inside and outside, in every way is all emerging from Lord Balaram. It all begins with Lord Nityananda. That's where it starts. And this is why Lord Nityananda is considered to be even more merciful than Sri Chaitanya, philosophically speaking, because he is the hand of Krishna's mercy, right? This is the very reason Krishna expands as Baladev, is as Shankarshan, as Mahavishnu, just to help us. So of course, he's the most merciful. Of course, he's even more merciful. But he's also non-different than Mahaprabhu. Balaram is non-different than Krishna. Nityananda is non-different than Sri Chaitanya. So in this way, he's the Chaitya Guru, and in this way, he's the external spiritual master as well, who comes to guide us, to help us. And I want to think of Nityananda Prabhu's role, particularly in the form of the spiritual master, both in Nityananda Prabhu's pastimes, in his Leela, but also in our own lives, how the Lord helps in this way. You see, when the Lord appears as the spiritual master to guide us within the heart, but then externally, it's very easy to misunderstand the role of the spiritual master. Generally speaking, when we look out into the world's philosophies, especially in India, where the role of the guru is so important, we find two extreme views of the spiritual master, two polar opposite views, both of which are problematic, both of which are incorrect. One extreme is that you typically find is a view that instrumentalizes the spiritual master. Okay, and what I mean by this is often you will hear people say, this is especially prevalent in circles of impersonalism, that the spiritual master, the guru, is like a boat that you use for crossing over the river, crossing across the river. And once you have crossed, no one carries the boat with them. You leave the boat behind. And you realize that you have made it and that you and the guru are actually one. So the guru is useful. Another example is given when you have a ladder to climb up to the roof. Once you get there, if that's your destination, you don't need the ladder anymore, unless you want to come down again. But since spiritual life is a one-way journey, once the instrument has been used, then you don't need it anymore. You realize that you and the guru are one. And so this is often, maybe you've heard this Zen saying, if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him. Right? Meaning, it's not the Buddha who is the object of worship here. You have to recognize your own Buddha nature. The external guru is useful only so long as he's useful. Then you get rid of him. The other extreme, which is far more common than the first one I just described, the other extreme is when we overinflate the position of the guru. So the first is to instrumentalize his position. The other side is when we inflate it too far. And that's when the guru becomes not just the one who guides us, but the destination itself. He becomes the goal. Our guru is our worshipable object. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Sakshat Maheshwara. All of this. Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruvena. My guru is everything. He's Brahma, he's Vishnu, he's Shiva, he's everything. And we then make our gurus, we elevate the guru to such an extent that he obscures even Krishna from our vision. We can't see past him. In the Vaishnava tradition, both of these perspectives are rejected in favor of a middle path. For Vaishnavas, the role of the spiritual master is neither instrumental nor exaggeratedly large, but rather the guru is a senior collaborator on the path of bhakti. On the one hand, we're told, Sakshad Haritvena Samasta Shastre, that he is to be honored as much as Krishna, because he gives us Krishna. Acharya Devo Bhava, the Upanishad says. On the other hand, we learn that the disciple has to be in a relationship of loving friendship with the spiritual master. It is there in the 11th canto of Bhagavatam, Krishna's instructions to Uddhava, Uddhava Gita, that we need a relationship of loving friendship, of firm friendship, Prabhupada says, with the Guru. So that we understand that he too is serving Krishna. He is not Krishna, he is serving Krishna. And so the relationship then becomes one of collaboration of apprenticeship. That's the right word. Apprenticeship. Just like you take apprenticeship with an electrician or a carpenter, which means you're learning, but you're also working together. You're assisting that person in the projects that they need to do. Your presence is useful to the carpenter or the electrician. You're not just sitting there taking notes. You're actually doing something, and that work is meant to be useful in that person's project. So this is described by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur so nicely. Yuktasya bhaktams chaniyunjatopi right? That the spiritual master is yuktasya. He's engaged in service constantly. Shri Vigrahara Dhananityanana Shringara Tanman Diramarjanado. He's worshiping the deity, Shringara Tanman, and decorating the deity. He's cleaning the temple, right? Yuktasya, he's engaged. But yuktasya bhaktan's chaniyunjato, bhaktan niyunjata. He is also engaging the devotees in that same activity. So this is why then we ask the spiritual master to engage us in service to the Lord, to allow us to assist him in his service to Krishna. That's our role, like an apprentice. And as we get better at that seva, we can be more effective in offering assistance to the spiritual master in his service, understanding his mood and allowing and participating in that seva. And that continues endlessly. In this world, we may help him clean the temple. We may help follow his instructions in service to his spiritual master. Just like Srila Prabhupada always thanked his disciples with so much gratitude that you are all helping me to serve, to fulfill the instructions that I had received from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Therefore, I'm so grateful. And because you are allowing me, you are helping me do my service to my spiritual master. So that happens in this world. It continues endlessly into the spiritual world as well. Where in the spiritual world, then eventually one day we can assist our spiritual master in the service to Shri Shri Radha and Krishna in our eternal forms. So this relationship is there right in the middle. It's a very balanced understanding of the spiritual master. He is as good as Krishna, and yet he is not Krishna. He is not merely an instrument. He is very much an eternal guide and companion in service and in loving friendship on the path of bhakti. Now, this will all connect to Nityananda Prabhu very soon. But let's think a little bit more about the role of the spiritual master. The spiritual master, in engaging the disciple, gives us two things. He gives us many things, but he gives two things especially. He gives us humility and he gives us confidence. And these two things are seeming opposite things. We're again in a paradox. On the one hand, the spiritual master, or really any good teacher, shows a student where they can improve. They show us what our limitations are and how we can do better. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Amar Guru More Murkha Dekhi. My spiritual master saw that I was a fool. And so he said, you cannot study Vedanta, you should just chant Hare Krishna. Right? So of course, this is Mahaprabhu speaking in humility, but we understand this is the role of Guru. Right? Guru means heavy. And the teacher's, one of the teacher's roles is to correct the student and to show where the student can improve. But if that is all that the spiritual master did, then he would just break our backs, right? We would see so many faults in ourselves, so endlessly, that we would have no confidence, no inspiration, no motivation to go on and to achieve what we are supposed to achieve. What is that in that beautiful song, Bhajan? Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya, Koroe Dase Trinapeka Atihina. The one line, I'm forgetting what it is now. It says, hey, when I look at myself, I see no good qualities to speak of. I don't see anything. I'm free of all good qualities. All I see is faults. So this is yes, the Guru shows us where we lack. And yes, it is the disciple's duty to recognize that. Otherwise, how will we improve? If every student comes into the classroom thinking they're already highly accomplished and very knowledgeable, then we're not going to, jogyate vichare, kichu nahi pai. So when I think about my qualification, jogyata vichare, kichu nahi pai, I don't see any good qualities there. So this is essential for the disciple, but it's only half the picture. It's only 50%. The other half is that the spiritual master instills in the disciple confidence to go ahead, to move forward, to keep going and striving, no matter how fallen and how problematic we might be. How? Confidence only comes when we trust someone. Right? The only way someone can give us confidence is when we trust them. Like, if I say, come up to the top of this building, right? And Shyam Gadai Prabhu, you should jump off and fly. Try to fly. So he should not do that at all, right? Because there's no trust, there's no faith that Radhikrama knows the first thing about how to fly. He's not a pilot, he's not a bird. How does he know anything about it? The only way someone can instill confidence in us is when we trust that they know what they're talking about. They know what they're talking about, and they know us and our capacities. This is why parents can often encourage their children and teachers can encourage their students, because they can tell them, I know what you're capable of. Just like when Jambavan, when all the monkeys are at the shore of the ocean, right? Jambavan comes to Hanumanji and says, Hanuman, you can jump across the ocean. You can do it. Why does Hanuman take that risk? Other monkeys don't. Because he trusts Jambavan. He knows that Jambavan is trustworthy. He knows what he's talking about. And he knows me. Right? He knows Hanuman's capacity. He says, I know you've forgotten. You have this ability. As a child, you had this ability, but you've forgotten. So go do it. So confidence is born of trust. And trust is born of the truth, speaking the truth. You cannot trust anyone who is dishonest. We trust someone because they know they will speak the truth. And this is why when we hear about the qualification of the spiritual master throughout the scriptures, the one thing that comes up over and over and over again is that the spiritual master is tattvadarshi. He sees the truth, he knows the truth, he speaks the truth. Tat vidhi pranipatena pariprashrena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. So we usually take tattva in the sense of philosophical truth. But tattva also means honesty. It also means speaking the truth as being honest. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Kiba vipra, kiba nyasi, shudra kene noy, jai Krishna tattva veta shay guru hai. Who is a guru? Jai Krishna tattva veta, the truth. This person needs to know the truth, they need to see the truth, they need to speak the truth. And because the truth is self-evident, the truth is svata pramana, it is immediately, it is directly evident when the spirit soul encounters the truth. And I don't mean the truth about the state of American politics or the truth about, what the weather is outside. I mean the truth with a capital T. When we encounter that truth which never changes, this the Upanishads call Sat. right? That which is real. When the spirit soul encounters the truth, we know it. It strikes us directly in the heart because that's what we are, right? This is why that famous line in the Upanishads, Tat Tvam Asi. That's what you are. Just before that, that's just the famous line people know. But Shvetaketu's father, Uddalaka Aruni, he's telling his son, he's saying, this is Sat, this is the truth, this is reality, and this is what you are, Shvetaketu. Because we are made of that same truth, of that same Sat, when we encounter it, we recognize it, we know it. We say, yes, this is it. And this is why so many devotees again and again describe their experience with Srila Prabhupada as he saw right through me. When he saw something, he could see my mentality. He could see what I wanted. He could read my mind. All of these experiences come from what? The fact that Srila Prabhupada is giving the truth. They would be willing to do things that they would never do for anyone else, not even for money. Right? They would never do the things they did. Why? Because they know this man is giving me the truth. He is not lying to me. He is not trying to exploit me. He is not flattering me. He is giving me the truth. And this is the most important qualification of spiritual master. This is the very definition of what is Diksha, of initiation, is the conveyance of truth. And by this is not meant merely philosophical ideas. Yes, those are crucial. But this is truth in the deepest sense of someone revealing to us what is reality itself. Who are we? And the moment we recognize that, we know that this is it. Then at that moment, we know that we have encountered Nityananda Prabhu. We have encountered Balaram. Then that whole journey, that whole effort that Lord Baladev takes to reach out to us, then that circle is complete. Right? His mission is complete. He recognized me. And when we meet Nityananda Prabhu, then no one has to tell us that we've met him, that this person is going to change our life. When we meet him, we will know. Just like Jagai and Madhai. So they were more thickly covered with sinful reactions than practically anyone we can think of. And yet, even through those thick, heavy layers of sins and desires, bad reactions, even through all of those thick layers, when they meet Nityananda Prabhu, they know that they have met the truth. They know that it strikes them directly in the heart, and they cannot help but be transformed. This is why it said, Brahmanda Brahmite Kon Bhagyavanji, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. That when the spiritual master, when a person is very, very fortunate, that person encounters the spiritual master. They encounter Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and right away, the seed of bhakti is planted. Life is changed. Sometimes it takes a little while to recognize it. This devotees often talk about how they met Prabhupada years ago, and it took quite some time for that seed to develop. But they know that my life is up for a change very soon. So one of the nicest examples of this exchange with the spiritual master, of both humility and confidence, these two paradoxical gifts that the spiritual master gives us. One of the most beautiful examples of this is in the story of Raghunath Das Goswami's encounter with Lord Nityananda. When Raghunath Das Goswami, he's a young man who's grown up in a family that is extremely rich. His father was a local king, a landlord, extremely wealthy, who worked on behalf of the Nawab of Bengal. And it says, Chaitanya Charitamrita says that he had more opulence than Lord Indra himself. Right? So wealthy was he, every comfort in the world. But he was desperate for the service of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That was his heart's desire. And he tried over and over and over again to run away from home to join Mahaprabhu. But each time his father would drag him back, tie him up. And he tried, he would run away, his father would bring him back. He tried, he would run away, bring him back. And eventually, Raghunath Das Goswami discovered what is the secret to getting Mahaprabhu's mercy. Right? If we want Mahaprabhu's mercy, then we need the mercy of Lord Nityananda. As Narottam Das Thakur sings, Ha ha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi Kripa Balokana Koro Ami Bado Dukhi. O Lord Nityananda, you are the most joyful, always merciful and always happy. And I, on the other hand, am always miserable. I'm suffering. You are the one who can make me happy. So Raghunath Das Goswami discovered this secret. And so one time when Nityananda Prabhu was visiting a place close to his own home, a place that is famous as Panihati, then Narottam said, this is my opportunity. And so merciful is Nityananda Prabhu, so easy it is to approach him that Raghunath Das Goswami recognized that he didn't even have to run away to meet Nityananda. It was an open exchange, right? So far, he's been running away in the middle of the night, crossing rivers, going through jungles to try to run away to get to Mahaprabhu. And he's been unsuccessful. But when Nityananda Prabhu comes, he brings his father's entourage along with him, his companions and associates and his guards and everyone, right? Nityananda Prabhu doesn't require, at least not initially, that we give up everything we have and that we run away, give up our families. No, he's saying that whatever situation we're in, right? Grihe thako, vane thako, sada hari bole da. Now you can be in the house, you can be in the forest, you can be anywhere. Nityananda Prabhu is ready to receive us. And so he doesn't do this in the middle of the night. He doesn't have to run away. He gets permission for this. It's an official visit, and he goes to meet Nityananda Prabhu. And there he sees him. The Lord is seated under a tree, surrounded by his associates and his disciples and his followers. And it says he looks so beautiful, so brilliant, so glorious in that place. And from a distance, Raghunath offers his dandavats, his obeisances to the Lord. And someone in Lord Nityananda Prabhu's company points out, oh, look, there's Raghu. He was well known in the area. His father was so well known. So he says, there's Raghu. He's paying his respects to you. And then Nityananda Prabhu says, bring him here. Bring him close to me. And then he says, you are a thief. Only thieves hide in a distance and don't come forward. Why are you hiding so far away? It must be because you're a thief. And of course, he's also saying that you're a thief because you've got all this opulence that you're not using in Krishna's service. And he teaches something very important message. Before we can run away from the material world, we have to use it first in Krishna's service. Before we can renounce, we have to engage. If we want to renounce our material entanglements, we want to eventually renounce our wealth, we have to first use it in Krishna's service, use that wealth in Krishna's service. That is the best way to renounce it. If we want to renounce anything in this world, we have to use it in Krishna's service. Otherwise, we're thieves. If a thief enjoys something, he's a thief. If a thief throws it away and runs away, he's still a thief, right? Sometimes in India, they'll pick your pocket, take what they need from it, and then they'll drop the passport and the wallet somewhere near a trash can or someplace, right? So after you've lost something, you can go around looking for it. And what they don't need, they'll throw away somewhere. You can get it. Usually it's all the important things, the cards and the driver's license and all of that. The fact that the thief has dumped your wallet, does that mean he's not a thief anymore? No, still a thief. Whether a thief enjoys or renounces, he's still a thief. What would make him not a thief is if he actually engaged it, returned it to the owner, and engaged in the service of the owner. So whether we accept the material world or we renounce it, either way, we're still thieves. The solution is to engage it in Krishna's service. Dry renunciation nor sense enjoyment, neither one is beneficial for the living entity. It is engagement and service that is useful. So Nityananda Prabhu tells him, he says, you are a thief, and now I've got a punishment for you, which is I want you to feed all the devotees here with a festival of chipped rice, yogurt, and milk. And I won't go into the details of this because it's quite a lengthy story, but perhaps many of you have heard of this account, or perhaps you've celebrated it in Atlanta, for example, where there's a big Panihati festival. So Raghunatha, he's so ecstatic to receive this direct instruction from Nityananda Prabhu, and he arranges that every devotee should have 3 pots: 1 pot of rice, chipped rice, flat rice, 1 pot of yogurt, and 1 pot of condensed milk. And for many people who say you should not mix milk and yogurt in the same meal, this is yes, the opposite practice. So he arranges this, and as devotees hear and as villagers hear from everywhere that this festival is going on, this happens in India all the time. Word gets around that there's prasad somewhere, and everyone, the whole world will show up. From that village, from neighboring villages, from everywhere. It was a huge, joyful festival. And he bought more and more milk and yogurt and rice and fed everyone fully. And then the shopkeepers would come thinking, even I can sell my goods here, right? This is a marketplace taking place. They come and they sell him all their milk and yogurt, and then Raghunath Das Goswami buys everything they have and then makes them sit down and eat the very food that they've just sold to him. And in this way, everyone is laughing and joking. But the climax of it happens when Nityananda Prabhu himself invites Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there. And in his meditation, Mahaprabhu appears, and Lord Nityananda walks down the line of devotees, all seated in a line, and he takes a morsel of food from everyone's container and feeds it to Sri Chaitanya. No one can see this except for a very few devotees. For everyone, it's a very unusual and amusing and shocking sight, because this food is being picked up and disappearing from Nityananda Prabhu's hand as he's feeding Mahaprabhu. When all of this finishes, that evening, Nityananda Prabhu goes to the house of Raghav Pandit, and he does Sankirtan. And so beautifully does he dance that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself comes, not to dance, but to see the dancing of Lord Nityananda. In fact, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, who can describe the beauty of Lord Nityananda's dancing? Even Mahaprabhu himself is stunned to see that beauty. Even though Mahaprabhu himself is known as Gaura Nataraj, he's the king of dancers, even though Lord Chaitanya's dancing stuns Lord Krishna, Jagannath himself, so that Jagannath's chariot stops moving at the Rath Yatra festival, so that the Lord can watch Mahaprabhu's dancing with unblinking eyes. Even then, that supreme dancer, Gaura Nataraj, is amazed by the beauty of Lord Nityananda's dance. So the relationship between Nityananda and Lord Mahaprabhu is very sweet and very deep, very deep. Mahaprabhu will alternate between giving him, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that Lord Nityananda has three relationships with Sri Chaitanya: as friend, as an equal, as his senior, because Lord Nityananda is older than Mahaprabhu, and also he took sannyas very early. He became sannyasi very early, before Mahaprabhu, and he's his servant, a junior. So Guru, Sakha, and Bhritya, Krishnadas says. He is there are three types of relationships we can have with anyone: as an equal, as a junior, and as a senior. These are the three options. And Lord Nityananda serves Mahaprabhu in all three of these ways. And so just like Lord Krishna praises Baladev in Vrindavan, those nice exchanges where Krishna is glorifying Lord Balaram, massaging his feet also as his senior. So Lord Mahaprabhu also, he looks at Nityananda and he admires him, he praises him, he serves him. And at the same time, Nityananda Prabhu always knows that Sri Chaitanya is the master. He is the Lord of my life. And so when Mahaprabhu tells him, Ghare ghare giya mago e bhikha, bolo Krishna, bhajo Krishna, goro Krishna shikha. Right? He tells him, you go door to door, Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur, go door to door, ghare ghare giya mago e bhiksha, and ask for this, beg for this thing from every person. Bolo Krishna, bhajo Krishna, goro Krishna shiksha. Please chant Krishna's holy names. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives Nityananda Prabhu that instruction, Lord Nityananda takes that upon his head as his life and soul and goes with Haridas Thakur door to door at the risk of his own safety, even to the house of Jagai and Madhai, because this is Mahaprabhu's instruction. So Nityananda Prabhu's relationship with Mahaprabhu is very, very rich and multifaceted. And of course, they're also equals, joking as friends. And Krishnadas says that everyone on the banks of the Ganga it's not the Ganga, it's a different river. On the banks of the river, when Nityananda was eating at the Panihati festival with his friends, everyone could remember the Leela of Krishna and Balaram eating prasad together. And Nityananda Prabhu is joking with Mahaprabhu, right? Stuffing him with food, like we would do on someone's birthday, for example. We feed them cake and make a mess around their face. And this is all in good spirit. So he's a friend as well. He's a friend. He's a servant of Mahaprabhu. He's his senior in all of these ways. And in this particular instance, Mahaprabhu comes to admire Nityananda in awe, to see his dancing and his devotion for Krishna. After this is all done, the two brothers sit down to take prasad from Raghav Pandit. And the food in the house of Raghav Pandit is so good that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that Srimati Radharani herself would come and cook there in that kitchen. So nectarian was that food. So this is all over, and everyone tells Raghunath, come sit, please come sit and eat. And Raghav Pandit says, no, he's not going to sit and eat now. Why? Because he's got a special plan. And after Lord Nityananda gets up from eating, washes his hand and retires, then at that time, Raghu gets his meal, which is the direct leftovers from the plate of Lord Nityananda. And now the mercy of Lord Nityananda is complete. He served Lord Nityananda. He's been chastised by him. He's received his Mahaprasad. And so then the next morning, Raghunath Das Goswami goes to Nityananda Prabhu. Not alone. He goes taken by Raghav Pandit. Right? Again, we see this system of parampara, disciplic succession, so nicely. Right? He takes a senior devotee with him and says, "You please introduce me again." And now he knows that this is his chance to receive Nityananda Prabhu's direct instruction, to get the boon that he's been asking for. And those are the verses that I want to read with you here when he approaches Lord Nityananda. This is a wonderful example of how we too, following in the footsteps of Raghunath Das Goswami, can approach Lord Nityananda for his mercy. And I accidentally closed it. Sorry, I have to open it again. The mood in which he prays is exemplary. And if we want the mercy of Lord Nityananda, then we can pray with him, especially on this day as we prepare for Lord Nityananda's appearance. So this is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila, chapter 6, text 127. Okay, everyone can see the verse? Yeah, okay. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is narrating here. Raghunatha Shri Kaila Charana Vandan Raghav Pandit Dwara Kaila Nivedan. Raghunath Das went there and worshipped Lord Nityananda's lotus feet. Through Raghav Pandit, he submitted his desire. What does he say? Adham pamar mui hina jivadham mor ichha hoye pana chaitanya charan. I am the lowest of men, the most sinful, fallen, and condemned. Nevertheless, I desire to attain the shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I want you to notice something here. The humility and the confidence. On the one hand, he is saying he is the most sinful, fallen, and condemned. Adham, Pamar, Jivadham. Right? He's Adhama. He's the most fallen. And yet what he's asking is the highest reward. I want the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya. That shows great confidence. And it would be like a beggar on the street walking up to Bill Gates and saying, "Give me your entire fortune, please." That takes a lot of guts. That takes a lot of confidence, right? So there's two things here. It's not just humility. There's also the confidence that Nityananda Prabhu is the most merciful. I have the guidance of his senior devotee, Raghav Pandit, one of his dear disciples, followers. I can do this. I'm going to ask for the moon. Why not? And so then he continues. Vamana jain chand dhari bhare chai anek chotna kainu tate kabhu siddhanay. Like a dwarf who wants to catch the moon, I have tried my best many times, but I have never been successful. Jottabara palayami grihadi chadiya pita mata dui more rakhaye bandhiya. Every time I tried to go away and give up my home relationships, my father and mother unfortunately kept me bound. Tomar kripa bina ke ho chaitanya na pai, tumi kripa kailatare adhame hapai. No one can attain the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without your mercy. But if you are merciful, even the lowest of men can attain the shelter at his lotus feet. Right? So this is Nityananda Tattva. Right? No one can attain the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without your mercy. But if you are merciful, even the lowest of men can attain his lotus feet. So therefore, and this is a most wonderful prayer that all of us can pray on this day for Nityananda Prabhu. Ayogya mui nivedan karite kari bhai more chaitanya deha gosai haya sadai. Although I am unfit and greatly afraid to submit this plea, I nevertheless request you, sir, to be especially merciful toward me by granting me shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in response to this, Lord Nityananda says, actually, the only reason that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to that Panihati festival was for you. He wanted to show his mercy to you, Raghunath, because you're very dear to him. And therefore, I bless you. You will one day become, in fact, let's read that blessing because it's very, very nice. He says, I'll scroll down a few verses. Yeah. Tabe Raghunatha Prabhu nikate bolaila tara mathe podadhari kahite lagila. Then Lord Nityananda Prabhu called Raghunath Das near him, placed his lotus feet upon Raghunath Das's head, and began to speak. Tumi je karaila e pulina bhojan, tomai kripa kari gaura kaila agaman. My dear Raghunath Das, he said, since you arranged the feast on the bank of the Ganges, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came here just to show you his mercy. Kripa kari kaila chira dugdha bhojan nritya dekhi ratriya kaila prasada bhaktan. By his cause's mercy, he ate the chipped rice and milk. Then, after seeing the dancing of the devotees at night, he took his supper. And now he gives his blessings. Toma udharite gauraila pane chutilo tomar jatta vignadi bandhane. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaurahari, came here personally to deliver you. Now rest assured that all impediments meant for your bondage are gone. His biggest blessing, Swarupera sthane toma karibe samarpane antaranga bhritya bholi rakhibe charane. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will accept you and place you under the charge of his secretary, Swarup Damodar. You will thus become one of the most confidential internal servants and will attain shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That circle that we talked about how the Lord reaches out into the material world over and over and over again, that circle in this moment is complete. When Lord Nityananda takes the living entity by the hand and says, now you engage in the service of Krishna. Notice in Nityananda Prabhu's relationship with Raghunath Das, those two things were there, humility and confidence. As Guru, Nityananda Prabhu did two things. First, he instilled humility and a mood of service in Raghunath. He says, you are a thief. You're going to use what you have in Krishna's service, serve the devotees, assist Raghav Pandit. And when he performs that service, then Nityananda Prabhu gives him limitless confidence. In fact, so much confidence that he tells him exactly what he's going to achieve. You will one day become one of the most internal servants of Mahaprabhu. Why? How? You're not going to serve him directly. You're going to be the assistant to his assistant. And from that point on, he was famous as Swaruper Raghu, as the Raghu belonging to Swarup Damodar Goswami. So this is what it means to be Guru. Right? This is the role of Guru. Humility, confidence. How? By telling us the truth, by speaking the truth. Doesn't matter whether we're rich or poor. Raghunath was so rich. He didn't flatter him. He told him the truth. That truth strikes us in the heart. And in this way, Lord Nityananda is able to do the very thing for which his appearance happens, which is to reconnect, to reach out into the depths of the material world, pull out those living entities and reconnect them in the service of Krishna. And by approaching Nityananda Prabhu in this way, by approaching the spiritual master in this way, we too can reconnect with him and achieve the same blessing that Raghunath Das Goswami achieved, right? Which is the blessing of eternal service to Mahaprabhu, not directly, but by becoming the servant of his servant. And in this way, we can come to assist our spiritual master in his service to Krishna. Notice what Nityananda Prabhu was having Raghunath Das do at Panihati festival. Lord Nityananda wanted to feed Mahaprabhu, just like he does eternally in Krishna Lila. Balaram feeds Krishna, Krishna feeds Balaram, right? He wanted to feed Mahaprabhu, so what does he have Raghunath Das do? Assist him in that. Arrange everything nicely so that he can feed him. This is exactly what we do in relation to the spiritual master. When the spiritual master serves Krishna, we assist. And we can become better and better at that assistance. Become expert in assisting the spiritual master in just the way that is needed so that he can do his service very nicely for Krishna. So I will stop here at this point. It's been quite a while, and see if anyone has any questions or comments or thoughts that they would like to, realizations about Lord Nityananda that they would like to share on this occasion.
Wow, first of all, thank you so very much, Radhikaraman Prabhu, for such an enlightening, at the same time, heartwarming talk. When we hear from you, we sometimes wonder, how can someone be so expert to bring the tattva and rasa in such a beautiful, palatable way, in such a balanced way? You know, like your talks are really, really very, very nourishing and always the guiding force for many, many of us. So we are very, very grateful. Such a meditation for this Nityanand Triyodashi festival, and not just, to something to meditate, but really to apply in our lives. As you have given so many wonderful points about Nityanand Prabhu, how we see through spiritual master and his mercy, how we pray, what is it? It's just so amazing. Can't express enough gratitude, Prabhuji. Thank you so very much. So beautiful.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. I think it's really the association of Richmond devotees that all the bhakti that's present in this crowd, it just it collectively inspires everyone, I think, and it's always so nice to speak to the devotees from Richmond. So and all the other places that devotees are here from. So thank you for the opportunity.
Jai. So before we move on, actually, we see that we have some senior Vaishnavas here in this forum. So we express our gratitude to them for being here. We have Mother Kamilini, Srila Prabhupada's disciple here. So thank you very much, Mata, for joining us. And we have His Grace Neelamani Prabhu, temple president, a wonderful devotee from New Jersey. So, and Aditya Narayan Prabhu, I think is still here, is the co-president of New Goloka Dham. So, and please excuse me if I'm missing, but thank you very, very much for joining and gracing this wonderful forum. So I know now we are a little over time. So just to respect Prabhu's time and everyone's time, First, I would like to ask Radhikaraman Prabhu, can we just take 10 minutes if devotees wants to ask any questions or?
My apologies. I didn't pay attention to the time very closely. And I know you had said 11:30 was our regular time for cutoff. So I'm sorry about that. I would be happy to stay as long as devotees would like. No problem. But at the same time, if people do need to go to engage in other sevas, then please feel free. Don't be embarrassed to log off, since I know the program is officially over. So we can continue unofficially, maybe.
Okay, here you go. So now, just to keep it a little organized and efficient, I would like to humbly request all the devotees who would like to ask their questions can raise their hands on Zoom. There is a raise hand button here. If you can figure that out and raise your hands, and then in order we get your request, we will open up the mic and you can ask your question. So I would request to please keep your question short so that we can, try to accommodate as many inquiries as possible. So here you go. We'll begin with Mother Gail. So just 1 second.
If people don't know, the button is under reactions. So if you click on reactions in the bottom bar, then that's where the raise hand is.
Yeah, so you can, okay. So Mother Gail, you can go ahead and ask your question, please.
Thank you. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, this is my favorite topic. So thank you so much. This Guru Tattva. I just needed clarification about one thing you said earlier, that the Guru is not just about philosophical truth. It's a deeper truth than that. So I didn't catch what you meant by that deeper truth.
Yes. Thank you for asking for that clarification. I think I didn't express myself properly. What I meant is that it's not just a bookish knowledge. Sometimes people think that what the Guru gives us is ideas and concepts, and of course he does. But when the spiritual master gives us truth, it's that truth is an opportunity to directly experience Krishna. So this is the engagement in bhajana kriya, which is an encounter with Krishna, not just the right ideas. So of course the philosophical principles are important, but they're not just philosophical in the sense of bookish knowledge. And so sometimes people think that bookish knowledge, if I've got all the concepts down, then basically what do I need a guru for? And that's why often people are hesitant or uninterested in surrendering to a spiritual master, because they say, well, I've read the Bhagavad Gita and actually I know every verse of it. And I know the concepts and I've read 6 different commentaries on the Gita as well. And so I really understand. And while that may be true, there's intellectual understanding the actual experiential understanding, where we make a commitment to Krishna because he allows us to have darshan of Krishna in some sense. He allows us to encounter him. That is not possible without the spiritual master taking us by the hand. Just like Raghav Pandit took Raghunath Das Goswami, or Swarup Damodar took Raghunath Das Goswami under his wing. So that's what I meant to say, and I'm sorry that wasn't expressed properly.
Okay, so when you say that the Guru takes us by the hand so that we can have darshan of Krishna, so that we can have darshan of Krishna in our heart, you mean? Experientially like that?
Or in the deity form, or through the scriptures, or through, just like it says, Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha guru tasyaite katita hyartha prakashante mahatmana. For one who has faith in Krishna, and as much faith in Krishna that person also has, that much faith in the spiritual master, to that person all the truths of the Vedas are revealed. So what does that mean? It means, of course, anyone can read the Vedas. They're available for not a very expensive price on Amazon. Someone can order and read. And we can understand also on a surface level. But what does it mean? Tasyaite katita hyartha prakashante mahatmana. Those truths are revealed in direct experience, right? We get a direct experience of Krishna. When in Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito, that truth is revealed by the spiritual master in a practical, in a deeper sense, not just in the sense of reading a book. And yes, so that's the idea. Darshan of Krishna doesn't have to be a very dramatic thing with Krishna descending on the back of Garuda from the sky. It is usually through just the five most potent aspects of devotional service: deity, devotee, Nam, Dham, and Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? Through these five ways, the spiritual master, by engaging us in devotional service, gives us an encounter with Krishna. And in this way, shows us the truth in a way that we could not get simply by reading a book or watching a video or using any other means to gain information, because that information will remain merely intellectual. And the spiritual master gives something much deeper, which is the seed of bhakti, and that goes right into the heart.
Okay, that was beautiful, Prabhu. And also, you said that a person can recognize their guru if they have humility, and when they see that the person who knows them, they have confidence in in the guru, because the guru knows them and knows what he's talking about. So I'm just wondering, what role does the disciple feeling loved, or at least well liked by the guru, play in that relationship? Because I think you were saying that, Nityan, Raghunath Das Goswami, he felt himself very dear to Lord Nityananda. I don't know if I'm making that up, but so basically I'm just asking, what role does feeling, that affection from a guru play in recognizing who one's guru is?
Oh, it's crucial. It's essential. But the thing is, love and affection are very complex ideas. Sometimes we mistake flattery for love. We mistake someone praising us for affection. Maybe it is. Maybe when someone praises us, it is in affection. Often it is. But that's not the only way in which love is expressed, right? So love from the spiritual master, affection from the spiritual master is crucial. This is why the spiritual master takes the effort that he does to liberate us, is out of that mercy, that compassion. And compassion is born of love. But love can come in many forms, right? Love can come in many forms. And sometimes it can come through chastisement. Sometimes it can come through joking. Sometimes it can come through praise. Sometimes it can come through an opportunity for service. Sometimes that affection can be displayed through by giving us refuge in a time of need. Sometimes it can be shown by giving us the association of someone else whom we need, just like Nityananda Prabhu gave Raghunath Das Goswami the association of Swarup Damodar, right? So Raghunath Das Goswami did not spend years and years in Nityananda Prabhu's association. Rather, Nityananda Prabhu's affection was that he gave Swarup Damodar charge of Raghunath Das. So affection can come in many forms, right? And that really is understood in the relationship between a spiritual master and disciple. It's not a stereotyped relationship where it comes in one form, one mold. And we know this from experience, that many disciples speak about their guru with so much love. And sometimes for the very things that an outsider would look at and go, wow, that was mean, or that was terrible, that was difficult. So love can come in many forms, but love is the heart of that relationship. It's crucial, because mercy is the heart of that relationship. And mercy is born out of love, out of care, out of affection, right? This is why the spiritual master is known as Patita Pavana, right? The uplifter of the fallen, as bandhu, as really a friend of loving friendship. That's the word that the acharyas use in describing that relationship, is loving friendship with the spiritual master.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you for those nice questions.
I'll let somebody else go. I did have one more, but if there's time at the end, I'll see if I can. Thank you.
Thank you for being so kind, Mother Gail. Yeah, so we have quite a few questions lined up here, and as we have limited time, I request just to ask your one burning question so that others will get opportunity also. So next question is from Mother Kamilini. Please go ahead, Mother.
Jai, Hare Krishna obeisances. Well, I don't want to take a lot of time, but in the beginning, you mentioned how the Chatra Vyuha, so all four of them are a manifestation of Lord Balaram, specifically Sankarshan. So could you just very briefly explain how all four are?
Yeah, that's a very nice question. Actually, Lord Balaram is Krishna's first expansion in terms of Vishnu Tattva. So in terms of Shakti Tattva, or the Lord's energy, Srimati Radharani is Krishna's first expansion, or the first manifestation of his energy. But in terms of Vishnu Tattva, Lord Balaram is the first, and therefore everything following that comes through Lord Balaram, through Lord Baladev. And so in some sense, every further expansion is an expansion of Lord Balaram. But at the same time, Krishna's different aspects manifest themselves more directly in one or other of the Chaturvyuha forms. So Lord Balaram specifically corresponds to Shankarshan. Vasudev corresponds to Lord Krishna, right? And Pradyumna and Aniruddha, we also know, have important roles in Krishna's pastimes. So each manifestation is a different aspect of the Lord. So the correspondence is different, but everyone comes from through the expansion of Lord Balaram, because he essentially takes care of everything for Krishna. He's like the personal executive assistant, where Krishna delegates literally everything to Lord Balaram. And this is why he is known as the Supreme Personality of Servitor Godhead, because every form of service that Krishna needs done in both the spiritual world and in the material world, Lord Balaram takes care of that. And so he arranges everything. He's the dham, he's Krishna's bedstead, he's Krishna's sacred Brahman thread, he's Krishna's paraphernalia for his worship. He's everything. And so then to take care of the material world particularly, he then expands into the Chaturvyuha and all these other forms. So he's the propelling force behind it. But when the Lord manifests, then different aspects of him correspond to different forms in Goloka as well. So in the material world, Shankarshan corresponds primarily to Lord Balaram and Vasudeva to Krishna.
Thank you. So would you say Lord Nityananda is the Supreme Personality of Servitude Godhead too?
Most certainly, right? So this is exactly the point that Krishnadas Kaviraj is making in the 5th chapter of Adi Lila. This is the very point that he's making, is that just as Balaram serves Krishna in every possible way, so Nityananda Prabhu serves Mahaprabhu in every possible way. And just like Balaram has 3 relationships, which, like I said, basically cover every relationship. Those are the 3 kinds of relationships one can have. Because he has 3 relationships, just as Balaram has 3 relationships, in the same way Lord Nityananda has 3 relationships with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he's drawing an exact parallel between Baladev and Nityananda, because the two are, Lord Nityananda is not merely an expansion of Lord Balaram. He is Balaram himself, just like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not just an expansion of Krishna, he is Krishna himself. And so that's the main point that he is making in that chapter. Thank
Wonderful. Okay, so next question is actually coming from the chat. Devasmita Prabhu is asking if the representative of Lord Nityananda, who's our guru here in this world, will remain our guru in the spiritual world and engage us in the service over there as well.
Yes. However, we have to understand that there are many gurus also. So Diksha Guru is only one, but Shiksha Guru can be many. In fact, should be many. We receive instruction through the course of our spiritual life from many Shiksha Guru, right? So who engages us in service is all of the above. Service in the spiritual world is a collaborative effort. It's not an individual thing. And so one very nice example is Shyamananda Pandit, right, who was initiated by, is it Hriday Chaitanya?
Shyamananda, Hriday Chaitanya, yes.
Yes. But he received instruction and guidance from Srila Jiva Goswami, right? And in their eternal swarupa and in his eternal relationships, he is, Shyamananda Pandit is not in Sakhya Bhav, not in the mood of friendship like his guru is, but he's in Madhurya Bhav, like Srila Jiva Goswami is, in Manjari Bhav, in conjugal mood, in Madhurya Bhav. So the point is, all of these relationships are deeply connected in the spiritual world. The cowherd boys are also engaged in helping Radha and Krishna come together, right? Especially Subal and other cowherd boys who are in the intimate circle are very closely involved also. So they all have their different moods and leelas. It's one huge team. It's one wonderful collaborative effort, which has then many subgroups in it that are also collaborating. And then our immediate collaborators, our immediate inner circle of devotees we work with. So yes, the relationship with our spiritual master is going to be eternal, even in the spiritual world. But I should put that in the plural, right? The relationship with our spiritual masters is going to be eternal. The relationship with our God brothers and God sisters and our friends who serve together in this world, Krishna, that is going to be eternal, right? We all have connections in Krishna's pastime. We just don't know how it comes together, right? We just don't know how it comes together. I mean, think about it for one moment, right? Hanumanji and Narada Muni, right? They have, on the surface, we think, they don't have any connection. But do we really know, right? Both are such powerful messengers in the service of Krishna, right? They have, I'm sure they have a deep, in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, we see the deep, deep love and affection that these devotees have for each other, that Narada Muni and Hanumanji and all these wonderful Vaishnavas have for each other in Krishna's eternal seva, in his eternal service, even if they're in different bhavas and different moods and different forms of Krishna that they are worshiping, they have those connections. So this is not a exclusive thing, right? It is not an exclusive thing. Oh, my guru, my mood, my people, not like that. The spiritual world is one big party, and everyone is working together to serve Radha and Krishna. That's what we're doing. And in any form, in any rasa, in any lila, in any avatar, we're all connected in Krishna's service. And those connections we can see in this life, and we will continue those connections in the next life. They do not end, not just with our guru, but with each one of us. We are eternally connected. And that's what makes bhakti so exciting, is just discovering what those connections are. Just think about it, how wonderful it will be to discover more and more about not just ourselves, but about each other, and to recognize, oh, this is what this devotee is serving Krishna in this way, and I can assist this person, or we're going to work together in Krishna's service. It's an exciting journey of discovery in our spiritual life, progressing more and more. And we can recognize so much about our spiritual master, but also about each other.
Jai, wonderful. So we have two more hands raised. Mani Deep Prabhu. Please go ahead, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. First of all, I want to express my gratitude for arranging this session and getting an opportunity directly to have a Zoom class with Radhikaraman Prabhu. So, Prabhu, I have a simple question, not to take a long time, but how do we choose a spiritual master, Prabhu? Like, do we get in association with hearing, or like, how do we approach a spiritual master?
A very nice question. It can happen in many ways, right? Just like if you ask the question, how do you find a wife, or how do you find a husband? Right? It can happen in many ways. For some people, it's a very arranged process, right? Mother and father look at the charts and they make arrangements. You go through multiple options and you get your resumes, and then someone decides, and then you say yes. And we know the process in arranged marriages. For other people, it's more like, yes, it's arranged, but we were already friends in childhood. And you kind of knew that relationship was already there. And it just becomes more clarified over time. You knew the person in grade school. But as you grow up, it becomes clarified. Oh, this is actually my wife. This is my husband. And for other people, it's love at first sight. You see them somewhere and it's like, oh, this is the person. Right? So there's many ways in which a person meets a partner. In the same way with the spiritual master, it can be many different ways in which we discover who is our spiritual master. For some people, it's a very systematic and intellectual process. Right? They go through different possibilities. They think about it. They look at compatibility. They examine. For others, it's something that happens over the years. It happens from childhood. You kind of come to recognize, oh, this person has been guiding me for so long. I think they're my spiritual master. For others, it's like a thunderbolt. You see them and you think, oh, this is my guru, right? So it can happen in multiple ways. None of those ways is better or worse than any other. We have different personalities. Our spiritual masters have different personalities. We're all individuals. And we approach Krishna in different ways. And Krishna loves that about us. He loves the fact that some of us are passionate and emotional, and we want to fall in love like head over heels. And he loves the fact that others are systematic and intellectual, and we like to go through things very logically and serve Krishna in that way. Krishna likes that about us. But the one thing that is consistent is that both the spiritual master and the disciple should examine one another. We should enter that relationship with our eyes open. And we know, why is this spiritual master qualified? That is our responsibility. Otherwise, we will be cheated, right? We'll be taken for a fool, and then we're going to end up on the wrong path. There are many, many cheater gurus out there. So we have to have our eyes open. We have to use our intelligence and the knowledge we have from Bhagavad Gita, from the scriptures. We understand what is the qualification of guru. Jai Krishna Tattvaveta Shai Guru Hai. We understand, does this person know the truth about Krishna? So we have to do our examination, and the spiritual master has to do his examination. Is this disciple qualified? Is he ready to go on and so forth? So that's the only thing that has to be common across the board, is that we have to understand qualification of guru and disciple and act accordingly. But the process can be as varied as there are different personalities in this world. Does that help?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. So that was the last hand up on the list. But Radhikarati Mataji mentioned she has a question and she can go last. So Mataji, why don't you go ahead and ask your question now?
Nilamani Prabhu, I think he had to leave, huh? He also had a hand up.
Yeah, his hand was raised. I was wondering now. I think he left.
Yeah, it was getting late.
Yeah, we missed him.
Radhika Radhi Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Prabhuji.
Jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, your classes, Prabhuji. What can I say? So Prabhuji, as you were explaining about the relationship between Nityananda Prabhu and Raghunatha Das Goswami's relationship, Anihat festival, I was thinking, actually it's not a question, but I'm just sharing, and I was thinking about Sat Goswamis, all other Goswamis too. If you look at their, life, like they got in association with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then they went to Vrindavan and they got personal association of Radharani and Krishna. So can you just briefly, if there is time permits, like briefly in 2 minutes or 3 minutes, can you just Sat Goswami's like the relationship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Radharani, can you just briefly explain, Prabhuji, so that we can have that mood?
Yeah. So one thing very special about Lord Nityananda Prabhu is that many people receive shelter of Vrindavan Dham because of him, or at least two people I can remember. Right? One is actually more. So he sends Raghunath Das Goswami to Jagannath Puri and to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's shelter. And from there, he receives shelter of Vrindavan Dham at the banks of Radhakunda. Mahaprabhu gives him shelter at Govardhan, right? When he gives him the Govardhan Shila and the Gunjamala. So he gives him shelter. So in this way, Nityananda Prabhu clears his path to go to Vrindavan. He does this with Srila Jiva Goswami also, and sends him to Vrindavan. To assist Rupa and Sanatan. And then, of course, perhaps the most famous instance is when he sends Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami to Vrindavan with those famous words, "Go to Vrindavan where all things shall come to pass." So he gives him blessings that everything you want, you will find in Vrindavan, in a dream. And he sends him to Vrindavan. So Nityananda Prabhu, he gives many devotees refuge in Vrindavan Dham. And through that refuge, then they also get the shelter of Srimati Radharani, just like Raghunath Das Goswami did. He became a very intimate devotee of Srimati Radharani through residence at Radhakunda. But each one of the 6 Goswamis received that through Mahaprabhu's mercy, because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came essentially to teach us what is the love of the gopis for Krishna, right? This was his special gift. And so with each of the 6 Goswamis, he sends them to Vrindavan, sometimes immediately, sometimes eventually, and each one of them then take on their eternal relationship of service in relation to Srimati Radharani in Vrindavan Dham. Rupa and Sanatan Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and Srila Jiva Goswami. So there's so much more that can be said about the 6 Goswamis. It's a very large topic, but maybe that will suffice for now, especially in relation to Nityananda Prabhu and Vrindavan Dham. Thank you. Thank you for that good question.
Beautiful, beautiful. And okay, so it's already 12 o'clock, but our Sindhu Mataji is having one last burning question. So please go ahead, Mataji. Prabhuji is very kind.
Sorry, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Radhika Ramandas, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. It was so good to hear from you. Prabhuji, one question that I have is, what can we not do to repel Nityananda Mahaprabhu? He is the most merciful, but at least some things that we can have in the back of the mind that would not make him frown as a meditation. If you could share some, I would be very grateful, Prabhuji.
Yes. Very nice question. When Jagai and Madhai are delivered by the mercy of Lord Nityananda, then the only thing that Mahaprabhu asks from them to make them worthy of this mercy that they have just received, right, is he makes them promise that they will no longer commit sinful activities. They will give up their sinful life. When someone receives something that is completely undeserving, that we are not worthy of at all, when we get a gift that is so amazingly disproportionate to our qualification, then the only thing that we are asked to do is to respect what we have received. And what does it mean to respect? Or what does it mean to disrespect when we receive something? If we throw it away or misuse it, then we're not deserving of that mercy, right? Of that gift. Just like if someone comes and hands us $1 million, right, as a gift, it totally doesn't make any sense as to why I should receive that. But say my friend is, really wealthy or whatever, and someone who's a complete pauper, who has nothing to their name, someone hands them so much. They can do with it as they like, right? It's a no strings attached gift. They can invest it. They can turn that 1 million into 10 million. They can buy a house for themselves. They can get good clothing, whatever they want to use it for. But the one thing that would really break the heart of the person who gave that gift is if they went overnight to Las Vegas and gambled it all over, right? That would be like, oh, why did I give that gift? That person didn't even have a chance to enjoy it. So the only thing that Nityananda Prabhu asks us is he's giving us this gift of bhakti completely to persons who don't deserve it, right? We don't deserve what he's offering. As Raghunath Das said in that verse, Adham Jivadham, I'm so low, I'm so fallen. And yet I'm asking you for the moon. And I'm asking you for something which I do not deserve. And he will give it to Raghunath Das. He will give it to us also. The only thing he asks is we not misuse it. If we take what we have received and then we throw it away, we commit sinful activities on the strength of that mercy, then Nityananda Prabhu is very disheartened. In other words, if we are hypocritical. We receive the mercy on the one hand and we continue committing sinful activities on the other. Right? Of the 10 offenses to the holy name, the greatest offense is to commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name. Service to Lord Nityananda brings with it many, many benefits. Bhakti is shubhata. It is all auspicious. Kleshagni, it destroys all suffering. It makes Krishna very, very accessible. But if we take the benefits of bhakti and we misuse it for our sense gratification, then Nityananda Prabhu is very disheartened. Right? Then we lose the right for that mercy if we are hypocritical. So the only thing he asks us is the past, but now do not commit sinful activities anymore. Now change your life. Right? And that's a gradual process. So we don't have to be disheartened if we can't do it overnight. He doesn't want success overnight. He doesn't want perfection overnight. He just wants to see sincere effort that we're trying. Just like a parent doesn't want to see their child run the marathon tonight. Right? They just want to see them stand up and start to walk. And if they stumble, okay, no problem. Get up and start walking again. If you stumble, it's okay. Try again. As long as we keep trying to improve and in trying to serve, Nityananda Prabhu is happy. But when we try to misuse, then he becomes very distressed, right? Very upset with us. So does that help?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Sindhu Mataji. And there's one little clarification Richa Mataji is asking on chat. Prabhu, you said that Balramji is the one who engages us in service of Krishna and spiritual world. But what about Vrinda Devi? So if you can speak.
Yes, yes. So there are two aspects, as I was explaining in answer to Kamalini Mataji's question. There are two sides to Krishna. There is Vishnu Tattva and there is Shakti Tattva. And these two are identical and different at the same time, Veda. So when it comes to Vishnu Tattva, the first manifestation is Lord Baladev. And when it comes to Shakti Tattva, the first manifestation is Srimati Radharani. Both have one goal and one goal only, which is to serve Krishna to their heart's content and to engage everyone in that service as well. Srimati Radharani does it in her way, and therefore, if this was Radhashtami we were celebrating, we would be speaking about how Srimati Radharani is the most merciful, even more merciful than Krishna. And remember what I said at the beginning, there is no contradiction between Radharani being the most merciful and Lord Balaram being the most merciful, and Srimati Radharani being the greatest servant and Baladev being the greatest servant, and Srimati Radharani engaging us in Krishna service and Balaram engaging us in Krishna service, right? No contradiction in multiple supreme roles in the spiritual world. So Srimati Radharani is the first original Shakti Tattva. And from her come all the gopis and all the different Shaktis of the Lord, including Vrinda Devi, right? Who then is specifically responsible for making arrangements for Krishna's Leela in Vrindavan Dham, particularly.
Jai, wonderful. So thank you. You want to ask? Oh, Kulshekhar wants to ask a question, Prabhuji.
Yes,
So
of course. Last question from the children should always have an opportunity to ask questions. So please go ahead, Kulshekhar.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, the class was very wonderful, Prabhuji. I had a question that if we do not have a guru, so who gives us confidence and humility?
Very nice question, Kulshekhar. When we don't have a guru, who gives us confidence and humility? The answer is the guru, right? Because the reality is we always have guru. We always have guru. Yes, Diksha Guru may come after some time, right? After we become at least 12 years old and we chant 16 rounds every day and so on. Diksha Guru may come later. But Guru is always there, right? Because remember, Guru is from Krishna himself. He is Chaitya Guru, the Lord in the heart, right? So the Guru is present through our teachers, especially our spiritual teachers. Say someone comes and stays at our home and gives us some instruction, senior devotee. That person is our Guru. He's our Shiksha Guru, or he's our Vartma Pradarshaka Guru. Our parents, they are our Gurus. They show us the path, right? So we always have Guru. And when there is no Guru, say someone is in the middle of Siberia and all alone and they have no friends and no family and no parents, it's impossible to imagine. But say someone is completely alone, then Krishna is there within the heart and he gives us inspiration and confidence and humility, right? This is what he says. Upadrashta anumanta bharta bhokta. When no one is there to guide, say our parents are gone or they don't care or everyone is misguiding us, still Krishna is there in the heart. And if someone is sincere, Krishna will show them the path and say, this is what you need to do. And I will give you the confidence to do it. This is why people undertake these incredible journeys. You know the story of Radhanath Maharaj, right? Where he traveled across the world, like walking and hitchhiking all across the world through dangerous areas. Where is that confidence coming from? Right? Srila Prabhupada was not there yet to say, you should hitchhike across the world through dangerous areas to come meet me. No, but Krishna is always there. Guru is always there. Lord Nityananda is always there within the heart as Chaitya Guru. And he gave him so much confidence, determination, made it irresistible. You must go and you don't be afraid. Otherwise, how can someone do something like that? Even outside the material sphere, when someone decides to climb up Mount Everest, from a material perspective, that's a crazy thing to do, right? It's so difficult, so dangerous, and yet somehow people have the confidence to do it. Who is giving them that confidence? It's the super soul within the heart, the Chaitya Guru, that's saying you can do this. Right? So he does this even materially. What to speak of doing it spiritually?
Okay, thank you.
Chika?
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, so with that, once again, on behalf of all the devotees, Radhika Raman Prabhuji, we are very, very grateful for your friendship, for your generous, compassionate heart, spending so much time with us in your busy, busy schedule, and giving us these wonderful meditations and preparing for this wonderful festival. Very, very grateful. We can easily stay till evening if you if you agree, but again, just to be respectful of your precious time and others' time also, we'll end here. If devotees want, they can just quickly open up their cameras, mic, and let's chant from all our hearts a loud Hari Bol in our gratitude to His Grace Radhika Raman Prabhu. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Nityanand Ram ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grace Radhika Raman Prabhu ki jai, Shri Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, God Premanandi.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Radhika Raman Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Dandavat
Prabhu.
pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.